Hey, how are you, Alan?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm well. How's your life upended?
Oh boy.
Yeah. Any more leads or any more job interviews, possibilities or anything?
Um, well, I'm sure you probably figured my interview was canceled, but I did have the opportunity. 2 days later, they emailed me and they sent me 13 questions and they wanted me to video myself answering the questions.
Hmm.
So I spent 4 hours.
All right, it's recording. So I want to welcome all of you and thank you for being here and being a part of Gardner-Webb University. I want to start off by just kind of giving you a couple of announcements, and then so you will uh, we can move on and talk about the class a little bit. Well, first of all, if you looked at your Blackboard shell today for session 10, that means we are 2/3 of the way through. Very much at the top of the session. Am I sharing? Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. At the very top, you'll see we received a notice today from the president of the university, Dr. Downs. And so here's the news that he is postponing the May 9th graduation, which would be yours. He's not postponing it, but he and the folks who are the big dollar folks over here on Webb Hall are looking at setting a new date, and he is thinking probably sometime in August. So that will accomplish two things. One, it'll let us get those people in 604 now who are in male 604, they'll be able to graduate with you. It doesn't mean that you won't be able to go through TaskStream and get your certification from the state. I just want you to know this postponement simply means the marching part. All the rest of the stuff that you do through TaskStream will move you on and get you through. This is just the ceremonial piece of the graduation, which I'd say about 50% of you come anyway, but I'm expecting to see all of you when we decide to have it. But it will not stop you once you finish this course and everything's in TaskStream and you pay that fee to the state. That's not going to hold you up. So I just wanted you to know that that's where we are with graduation. You can mark that off your calendars. We will come back as soon as we know something from the president. The other thing I want to show you is that Dr. Lamb has been getting a lot of information, a lot of requests from us, from candidates like you out in the field who are trying to get your 80 hours. And particularly since school, and you may have already gotten this from him, but I put it here for you to see some of the things that you can do during the school closures. And since we will be closed until May 17th in North Carolina, I think April is what I read, sometime in April for you guys in South Carolina. Here's some things that you can do. And let me just speak to your clinical hours because I need to do this. We are going to work with you, and if you need to stretch back and pull things and somehow or another make something fit, we're going to help you along the way. This requirement, we've already petitioned the state for some guidance, so we'll see what they say. But keep doing what you can, and just put down any and everything that you're doing now, because we will make sure any Zoom sessions you're having with your staff or anything that you're doing at school, just keep looking for that, because we will indeed. We're going to work with you on this if you don't get to the 80 hours, and we're waiting to see what the state says about it. But there are some ideas for you about some things you can do during this strangest of times. This is also a good time for you to start making sure that you are caught up on your work. I think about last week I sent you a notice of where you are, and most of you are well positioned. But if you are not, make a little time in your schedule, because we certainly do, even though you may not walk across the stage in May, we do want to make sure that that certificate from the state or that master's degree from the state comes very quickly thereafter. So make sure you complete all that stuff. If you are in the perfect world, which none of us are, then you'd be working on SIOP Task 6 right now. And again, I want to remind you that someplace it was confusing that you only needed to do 18, but you must have an answer for all 21 of these competencies. So what I am looking for when I look at these, and when grade it the first time, and Dr. Bullis is grading it as well, I'm looking for you to have communication and a paragraph. But right beside communication, I'm looking for you to have communication hyphen competent. All of you, I want you to put communication hyphen competent. So that kind of immediately answers the question of whether or not you are competent. And then under that, you should list a couple of things that you feel like you've done for communication. You really don't need to do any attachments here. What I'm looking for is a short little paragraph under each one of these 21 things that you're looking back from all of your career at Gardner-Webb, and that you can put under each one of these 21 competencies. So I really want to be clear about that. And make sure, again, everybody, that you send something to Dr. Bullis on the SIOP before you send it to me, because if not, I'll give you 100 and I'll ask you, have you send it to Dr. Bullis. It's so easy for you to just go ahead and send it to him and let him make sure that it is ready for me to look at it. All right. Are there any questions for me?
Yes, I have one.
All right. Let me hang on. Let me see who is talking. Let me get to my screen. All right. Why is that not working? All right, man, hang on. All right. Go ahead.
I just wanted to remind them.
There he is. I didn't catch your voice, Dr. Lamb.
Oh,
Ladies
that's
and
not
gentlemen,
good.
the chairman of our department, the guru who knows everything about any and everything, my colleague, Dr. Lamb. Go right ahead, Dr. Lamb.
Thank you. It's hard to live up to all that. I joined, we had a collaborative, welcome everybody, glad to be with you tonight. We had a collaborative partners meeting last week, and I've talked with several school districts since that time, and our folks have taken the lead in this conversion to online, and you have a lot of skills, a lot that you can offer. This is a unique time that you can kind of move to the front of the line in terms of the next job. So I don't mean to sound heartless or cold or insensitive. I usually am, but I'm trying not to sound that way. But this is your opportunity to shine. You have skills that a lot of people don't have, and you know what works. I mean, you know how to use Zoom. You know how to do all those things. You know how instruction works with Zoom. You know what best practices are and aren't. I mean, you could be a leader in your building and in your district in this effort. So I encourage you to step up. Don't hide your light under a basket. This is your opportunity to shine. You get some clinical hours, but even more importantly, you get seen and noticed. I also wanted to remind you, I wrote it down, but this is a reminder. All the time that you spend working on your evidences, that would be the CAP SIOP, all the time you spend working on those can count toward clinical hours as well. And so hopefully that will give you the opportunity to get your hours in this semester. I wouldn't worry about it. We will make a negotiation with DPI, seeing how we're their favorite right now since we went through the CAPE process. I think we'll be fine. So I just want to join you for a minute, encourage you. I know it's trying times, but I have no notion what's going to happen in May in terms of, I suspect there won't be a graduation. We're hoping that there'll be one in August. I talked with the person in the know this morning, and she said she didn't know either. Her recommendation, whether we'll do it or not, is to go back inside in August. And so I don't know what's going to happen with that, but we'll do something. We'll have something for you. We appreciate your business. We appreciate the relationships. We appreciate you. And so we will make sure that we do something to recognize the hard work and dedication that you put in this program. And hopefully you've gotten something out of it. So I'm available for questions. I'm looking outside the window here.
And Josh, I'm telling you and your team, you are not to ask 10 questions of Dr. Lamb because we're hearing your presentation tonight. You have one question, your team.
I'm good.
Dr. Lamb will talk all night and take your place, I can guarantee you.
Nope, I've got to move along. I'm rotating through tonight. I've got to join another one in just a few minutes.
All right, any questions for Dr. Lamb? All seriousness, because he's the chairman of our department and he's the kind of the guru of everything male. So thank you for joining us, Dr. Lamb. Stay safe. Take care.
I'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so who do I turn the screen over to?
I'm on it.
All right, Anthony, you got it. Now we can see your screen and, all right, I'm all ears. And if everybody will mute.
Okay.
That'll keep some, I muted myself. That'll keep some of the background noise away from the presentation. So I'm going to mute myself, Anthony, but I promise you if I see a point I want to ask a question, I'll probably unmute and ask.
Okay.
All right. So if we go back to the first page there, Anthony,
Oh, there you
you
go.
good? Personal growth and connectedness, digital competency number 4. Just in my limited time working with faculty, I think it's kind of interesting that we've put these in each of our presentations. The fact of the matter is most faculty don't care how we are evaluated, but it is important that we do know that that's the digital competency that we've been in charge of, personal growth and connectedness. Next. Our PLC norms: be responsible, share the load, follow through, be a respectful participant, take an active role in discussions and listen actively, be flexible and reflective, be open-minded, focused, stick with the task and stay, be prepared, be on time and accountable, and then equity among all partners. So I wanted to start off mine with the school data. I thought this was really interesting. Our performance of students in MC-EOG test at level 1, level 2, and level 3. I'll highlight these here in just a second. Next. Again, here was level 4 and level 5. So teachers are encouraged to observe other teachers within their school and district. I decided to zero in on the NC teacher working conditions data. Our school that was chosen was 69.3% agree, so we're below the state average again in the area of encouraged to observe other teachers within their school and district. Teachers have knowledge of content covered and instructional methods used by other teachers at the school. And again, we were still below the state average at 81.8%. Next. So learning walks to improve instruction. If I was an administrator and I was walking into a PLC, I would start with that data first and then start trying to implement learning walks. In my particular district of Buncombe County, we've been talking a lot about learning walks as a district on the admin side. There's been an increased area of focus.
Okay, Josh, we'll stop you. Can you define for those of us who may be unfamiliar with that term, learning walks, what exactly are they?
So they look different in different buildings. So there's almost, a learning walk is almost like a continuum, a growth continuum. In some schools, it's going to look different than it is in others, but the general idea of a learning walk is that you are actually trying to observe another teacher in their room, and maybe the format looks different at each school. Maybe you want to go in and find 3 positives. Maybe you want to go in there and think, well, I saw this, I wonder this, kind of some constructive feedback. And that looks a little bit different school to school based on the maturity level, to be honest with you, of the staff. Some pros about learning walks: it increases the awareness of and capitalizes on the strengths that exist within your building, highlights areas of weakness in certain teachers, and also lays the groundwork for improving upon each area of weakness. Some of the limitations, and this is always brought up when we start talking about learning walks, is the schedule. How do you go in somewhere where you're already a well-oiled machine and nobody has hardly any time off, and you try to incorporate a schedule to where you're able to go in and observe another teacher without losing valuable instructional time in other areas of the building? Or in short of like taking a TA and having a TA cover a class and you're losing instructional time so that you can get this done. Some teachers also struggle with colleagues physically being in their room. And then if they find a weakness, now what? What do we do with that weakness once we find it? Once I go into so-and-so's class, I find out that they're not doing this or that or the other. Or if I go into someone else's class and I see they're knocking it out of the park, what do I do with that information if I'm the teacher?
Hey, Josh, can I ask? So have you had experience with that? And I guess for me, the question would be, how do teachers deal with that? Having another colleague, I think are not teachers uncomfortable being put into that kind of or is it a non-threatening kind of system, learning walk?
So I've actually.
Let me ask you this. So I'm walking through your classroom and I'm observed that you're a horrible disciplinarian with children. Now I'm your colleague down the hall. Do I record my learning walk data somewhere, or is it just, I mean, I can see it being kind of a threatening thing for teacher relationships.
It most certainly can be if it's approached in the wrong way. I've seen it done two different ways at two different schools. At my first stop, I was a teacher for 10 years at a school, and we did learning walks. And when it was first brought out and established, there was a lot of different people that were like, whoa, 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 I don't want this. This is another form of something that I have to do. I don't want to make this formal. And so at that particular school, we had to approach it based on 3 positive takeaways. And that was the only thing that you were told to do. And the only requirement is that you actually had to do it twice in a semester. So I would take 5 to 10 minutes, walk into a class and come up with 3 positive things and write 3 positive things on these little things. We called them building blocks. And we posted it somewhere in our faculty area. The thought was, if I see one positive thing in so-and-so's class, I might want to incorporate it into mine. And then I might want to start incorporating 2 or 3 other things that I see in my class into my instruction. So kind of from a teacher standpoint, I felt like now looking back at it, they were basically trying to get us to incorporate better strategies. And this was their way of doing it. We had to be very careful, or they did, how they rolled that out, because there was some teachers that did not like that plan. That's why they had to stick to the very, very strict rules. Now, at my current school, we have a very, very, very mature faculty. And it is not just 3 positives. It is led by our district literacy coach. And she comes in, and there's even such rules like if I'm the teacher that's getting observed, I have to sit back and I have to let everyone in the room talk, and they follow a script. It is very constructive. And it's not negative, but there is a area in there where they call it an I wonder statement. Like, I wonder what Johnny over in the corner was doing because I never saw him interact with anyone. So there's very tactful ways to be constructive and offer that feedback. I've seen it work very different ways. There's a continuum. There is no right way to do this. It all depends on the maturity level of your staff.
Yeah, and Dr. Stone, if I can also add, we did it at my school as well. My first school I was at, I haven't done it since, but the facilitators would actually ask the teachers if they would want to volunteer to be, we call them PLC walks, but it's the same thing. But so mine was classroom management. I was very big on classroom management. So they would ask me if I would let people walk in the classroom. And again, it's a comfortable thing. I've came in lateral entry through Teach Charlotte, so I'm used to people observing me. So I had no problem with it. And then we would also they didn't call them anything, but like Josh said, building blocks, they would just send those same statements. They would just drop them somewhere for you in the room, and then you would get them and then look at your feedback. Mostly positive though.
So I chose to, we are actually incorporating this at Nesbitt Discovery Academy where I'm at now. The digital competency being, how we're going to get this growth and connectedness. Well, I decided to do this because we are on a 4-block schedule and no one has a planning at my particular school. Our planning is at the very beginning of the day and at the very end of the day when none of the students are there. So we just launched this about a month and a half ago, where we are actually utilizing the swivel camera technology that all the teachers are using for the National Board certified renewals. And they're actually filming themselves with the technology, and then they're sharing it on a Google Drive for others to view. The instructional coach does not need to be present for this, just needs to have access to it. And it's built-in evidence for our teachers that are really trying to want this distinction within their teacher evaluation. We also are giving the teacher full autonomy to be able to choose which lesson that they want. And the only thing that we're asking our teachers to do at Nesbitt Discovery Academy is that we do it twice in a semester. Next. So these were some of the implementation strategies. Teachers were going to utilize the calendar board in the workroom, mark days of the week that they have exciting lessons occurring in their classes. We call this a pineapple chart. Our teachers have the days of the week blocked off, and if they have something really cool going on, not everybody can show up and be there on, let's say, the 28th, but somebody did a Shark Tank. One of our math teachers just did a really cool deal where they had their students come up and pitch ideas to a panel of judges and kind of did this Shark Tank thing. Well, no one can go visit the classroom, but they can walk by the pineapple chart. They can see on the 28th, hey, they were doing X, Y, or Z in that classroom. I'm going to go back and I'm going to check the Google Drive on that date and find when Miss Hawkins did that or Miss Malloy did that. And again, the parameters, just the parameters of one lesson per semester in this particular. We do 2 at my school. And then you're going to install it on the Google Shared Drive that's shared with all faculty. So again, everyone has access to be able to view the lesson on the drive and view the instructional strategies used. The hope that teachers were going to provide 3 positive takeaways from the lesson to the teacher as feedback, and then each teacher must observe and provide feedback to at least 1 teacher per semester. Again, just trying to utilize technology with the current schedule parameters that we have, and still trying to pull some positive out of our building, because somebody's doing something great every day and we just all can't see it. Next. And that's it for me. Who's next?
Ms. Hawkins.
Hi, good evening. So my part in the presentation is personal growth and connectiveness. Administrators will develop a personal learning network and demonstrate a dedication for connected. I can't see on that side for whatever reason, for connecting for an excellence. And the 3 components was to reflect on, share, and model emerging promising practices regarding effective use of technology for educational growth, instructional gain, and communication with stakeholders. Second part, connect and learn from educators, administrators, and industry experts, locally, nationally, and globally. That is the part that I will be focusing on. And then the third part overall is to evaluate emerging and current technologies for their potential to enhance the learning environment. So with the focus on connecting and learning from educators, administrators, and industry experts, I think the key target was looking at how the connectivity was locally, nationally, and globally. And in all that I present, I wanted to put the content here, what connectivity meant, and that was the capacity for interconnection within different platforms or system platforms. That's okay. And then educators, the people who will be providing instruction or education, administration, people responsible for running a business or organization, industry experts are experts in their field that utilize, influence, or build the organization or business, and local, national, or globally. And that would be your particular area, state, federally, or worldwide. Next, please. And competency number 4, I just selected this graphic because it kind of shows the connectiveness of each and how they lend one to the other, reciprocal of support, technical, business, people skill, leadership skills, and that is all stemming from and going into digital skills. Next, please. The first piece of data that I reviewed was through Advanced Ed, and this is a review through a group of educators that looked at the components standard 3. In this particular sense, when I was talking about the connectivity of educators, And the standard 3 was teaching and accessing for learning. The indicator was mentoring, coaching, and induction programs supportive to instructional improvement with the system's value and beliefs about teaching and learning. The finding in this survey or review that it was 23% higher than network average at New Teacher Center, or the school's average was higher than the state's, was 23% higher because it was 2.83. Standard 3G, digital learning. The findings was, the item was that what they look for is that use of digital technology to communicate and work collaboratively, and I can't see what that is, for education or for collaboration or for connectivity.
It's for
And
learning.
for
Collaborate collaboratively for learning. Are the people in your way?
Yes, I see.
All you have to do is drag us over to the side.
Okay. Thank you.
There you go.
Okay. All right. It's scrolling back. Okay, I got you guys up on top. So the finding was that 80% did not find that digital technology to communicate and work collaboratively for learning was evident. So that was overwhelming data, and that 80% did not find that, or it was not observed. The majority of the responses indicated that it has not been observed in about 1 out of 10 of the responders, which is a great need if that was not found in digital competency. Next, please. So the next piece of data I used was the teacher survey working conditions, teacher working conditions survey, I'm sorry. And the focus that was looked upon was instructional practices and support. When looking at the school against the state, the school responses was how strongly you agree or disagree. And wait 1 second, the response was 69%, 69.3, that teachers are encouraged to observe other teachers within the school district as opposed to the state of 77.9. So it was slightly lower. And so that was a target of my focus in the connectivity piece. If that was lower, that teachers were receiving encouragement to observe others. Next, please. The next point of data that was reviewed was professional development. And what I focused on, and I saw a dip in the difference between the school we focused on and the state, was professional development provides ongoing opportunities for teachers to work with colleagues to refine their teaching practices. And my strand was educators and administrators, as well as industry, working together. And so when I saw this, I thought that should be highlighted as a need. It was slightly lower, but it was a need in that area. Next, please. Okay, so let me move this again.
I like this, that you're making it up to date.
Yes, so educators, administrators, and in connectivity, what I put was, and as we were doing our presentation, and with COVID-19, I just put that the current events for social distancing due to coronavirus and its effect on education. I put that because there has been an overwhelming amount or a need for digital connectivity due to social distancing, with school being out and trying to help see how we can prepare lessons for students. So that was a major factor, but locally connectivity is something that what I would do to problem solve and to meet those needs. Teachers watching videos of other teachers who exhibit expertise in a content area or classroom management, collection of information and preparation to adopt some of the best teaching practices viewed, follow up with a reflection and sharing this with a colleague or mentor. And the digital connectivity with a mentor, you can, discuss this with a teacher through maybe Skype or through Zoom or even in person when we were at school. And then you can give feedback through NESIS, or you can give feedback in your local district's mentor-mentee feedback channel. Administrators providing opportunities for teachers to work with others through professional development and professional learning communities. I don't know what I put there. I don't know if it deleted, but I feel like administrators are a key component to connectivity locally with their teachers through allowing them to attend workshops, webinars, and different things where they can gain skills. And they can learn content to teach better. Nationally, online courses, gaining knowledge from instructors through technology videos such as Zoom, such as what we're doing here, and emails and discussion boards. This enables the same course to take place with the communication and collaboration of students and instructors who live in different cities, counties, states, and even regions. Administrators can send digital text as well as other correspondence. So that's nationally and globally in an ever-changing, I was supposed to put 21st century, well, ever-changing global society. There are 4 C's to the connectivity that I found to be critical, and that's critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity. These all lend themselves to each other. This is ensured occurs through interactive implementation of assessing great teaching practices through evaluation value-added assessment system, that's EVAS. Industries create digital text and quizzes. Smartphones and watches can also be utilized worldwide within the educational system.
All right, so it's my job to talk about evaluating emerging and current technologies for their potential to enhance the learning environment. As you saw with Ms. Hawkins, I'm gonna go back over this digital learning chart. And as you see, our average was not that high, and not observed category was the highest in all 3. So with that being said, there's a potential to grow in the digital learning area. And what I'm going to focus on tonight is through the coronavirus era, the top 3 things that most of the teachers are, I guess you could say, flocking towards in order to get instruction to kids and make sure the kids still have work while they're out. So none of these are really emerging as far as how long they've been out there, but I would say they're emerging in their utilization. So Google Classroom and Canvas will come in at number 3. It says heavily utilized as the need for online instruction takes place. It's equal and student-centered, but it may or may not be equitable for all. And this is because instruction happens and students can receive support from the modules that teachers set up to help them see success, but it is less personal than Zoom, and that's why these two platforms actually are ranked third. But I'll put it in a second. Number two, I actually put the meetings, even though those are probably utilized the heaviest right now, I'm going to rank it as number two. Face-to-face instruction gives you opportunity to see your kids. Last 2 days, I've had 34 kids on both days. I think I've had the most in my department, and it's just been wonderful being able to answer their questions all at once, not having to be block to block to block. I can get them all once in an hour and then let them go. A lot of teachers have moved towards using Zoom meetings for face-to-face instruction. It doesn't make number two in instruction because of its being face-to-face platform, but it is because of its interactive capabilities. It is equitable and student-centered. Some examples that I've toyed with over the last few days. English teachers can share reading text electronically, and kids can underline keywords and context clues. History teachers can give out polls and exit tickets to see if students are paying attention to a live lesson. I've used this one myself. Math teachers can use Active Inspire to share so students can interact with problems. And I'll use an example from Active Inspire in a second. You can do one-to-one tutoring sessions. I've done several of these outside of my office hours just to help kids with problems that they're working on. It just helps keep them engaged. And separate setting accommodations. If you were to ever have an online class, you could actually give a read aloud to a kid. With marks in books, you can do a ton of things. Obviously, they could have extended time as well. All you'd have to do is restart the session. So Zoom is probably out of the three the most student-centered and equitable as far as instruction goes. But number one right now has to be Chromebooks and hotspots. Without these two, Zoom, Canvas, and Google Classroom don't even reach all of the students. Don't have the capability to reach all the students. With the effects of the coronavirus, all schools have moved strictly to online. We are ensuring that instructionally, we are not just being equal, but equitable to all students. Offering Chromebooks to students without access to a laptop, this ranks highest priority just because of the ability they give to assist the student in completing all assignments. Offering a hotspot to students without internet, it was the next priority, only because students know that they can access their own hotspots off their phone if they have one, and they just may not have a Chromebook. But just to show you this quick Active Inspire, this is actually me and my kids working earlier today. Can everybody see this screen? I'm trying to share it.
No, you have stopped sharing, so you need to reshare again.
Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can get back in. There we go. So this is a problem that we were actually working on today. We're not going to look at that one, but
Well, that was easy.
yeah. So if anybody, Dr. Stone, do you have touch screen right now? He said no. If anybody could have touch screen, I just need you to solve that one for me using your touch screen. Anybody. Or if anybody can mark it. I know my kids did it, so I know y'all can do it.
Anthony, I'm touching the screen, but it's not doing anything.
It's not doing anything for you?
No.
I wonder why. I'll go ahead and mark it. But I guess that was a bad example, but it worked out on the screen. It's been working out for days, so I guess it's just a glitch in it tonight for some reason. But my students have been able to take over problems for me, and like I said, it's just made everything, they've actually been more engaged here knowing that they can just do that at the drop of a dime instead of watching me at the board and saying where I'm supposed to pick up next. So, but that was the end of the presentation. Are there any questions?
Are there any questions?
I have a question with regards to the sample that Anthony just showed. Would the Chromebook have to be compatible for like touch screen, or is it a regular Chromebook? How does
So-
that work?
It's a regular Chromebook, so you do have to have. The thing is, you do have to have touchscreen capability. I don't know. Like I say, I don't know why it didn't work there, but it just didn't. But the kids who usually are on their phones are the ones that are responding with it. I haven't had anybody yet. Like, even though they went and gotten their Chromebooks, most kids are just using their phone for Zoom. So they just jump on there and then they'll start taking over the problem. So I don't have to do it. I just watch and then facilitate them from there.
I wonder if it has something to do with the fact that you have to be the host.
You know what? That's probably what it is. That if you're the host, that's probably what it is. Because nobody else was able to take over a problem and then do it themselves. But I
Right.
could write on their problem.
I think
Anthony-
that's one of the disadvantages, I think, of Zoom is the host has so much power that the others don't. So,
Uh,
any questions for
also-
this? Go ahead, Ms. Smith.
Also, too, I wanted to ask, I know here in Wake County, there's been instruction to use Google Meet. I'm not as familiar with that online virtual meeting platform, especially in regards to instruction. Does anyone have any information that they can share about Google Meet in reference to the virtual instruction platform?
They were supposed to get it to us, but they didn't. So I don't.
Does your district, does it have the Google platform?
We do have access to it within our, I guess our sign-in portal. It's like one of the apps that's available within our Google.
It's pretty
Google
simple. So once you sign into the portal, or you can see the apps, you
Mhm.
just click on it, and if you want to start a meeting, you just press join or create, and then you just share the link with the student. Or in our district, because I've done it today with several students and several staff members, you can type their name in, like you're sending them an email, and their name will already pop up.
Okay.
You can just send them an email, and they just join it right in. It's pretty simple.
Okay.
It'll also integrate with their calendar if they're using the Google Calendar part of the G Suite.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question, does it have the same capabilities where you can take the link and it downloads and then you can upload it to YouTube to actually send for later viewing? Does it have that capability as well?
You can record your session on Google Meet.
Okay. Okay.
I
And,
will tell you, not to change the subject, but I will tell you from an admin's perspective, the advice that I have been giving all of our teachers is when we Zoom, to try to Zoom in a one-on-one format or record it. Because, right now we're kind of looking at this from a very innocent point of view, but it'll be very interesting to see in the next couple of months the fallout from Zoom and interpersonal communication, whether it be inappropriate or appropriate, the clothing, all of these other things that I know from an admin's perspective I'm thinking about. It'll be very interesting to see how this interpersonal communication is going to progress over the next couple of months to see if we have any fallout.
Thinking
Yeah.
like two administrators.
Has anybody Zoomed with their kids yet? And I've seen most of mine like to black themselves out, which I'm perfectly fine with.
I've Zoomed with mine today. I did some yesterday and I did some today. I have 8 and 9-year-olds, so it's difficult to get, we're just trying to get the parents to understand how to access it and install it has been a challenge. So right now, out of 17 kids, I've made contact with 5, and I have sent out a video on how to. I've sent out emails and everything else. They're just really struggling with it, but the kids love it. And I've set up virtual hours from 9 to 1, and they just pop in and say good morning and ask me anything that they want to ask me. And it's just good to have that conversation with them.
I was Zooming with high school kids today, and I had the room already set up and recording when the meeting started, and then it didn't stop till I ended the meeting, which will then get uploaded into my Canvas for the kids that couldn't be there.
Yeah, kind of to piggyback off that, today, my son is in 3rd grade, so I get to see his perspective along with my perspective. But he got on his class Meet, and he was on there for like 10 minutes, and there was no teacher. and there was 5 of them on there, but he had gone back and clicked an old link that had not been deleted. So then the teacher did another one later that day, but there is a way that they can get in and just talk, about themselves and that kind of stuff without the teacher being in there.
Wow. This is a whole new ballpark of policies and rules and procedures and potentials. So as we get through it, I know you all will have plenty of conversations, and I do encourage you to continue to have conversations, because this is really something new for everybody, really. And so the learning curve is going to be there.
Dr. Stone, one last thing.
Yeah.
If anybody, I heard something, and I'm gonna make sure I'll look it up for y'all. If Dr. Stone, if I can send you the information on Spectrum, I think Spectrum is doing something where they provide students who need internet access. I know CMS, we're kind of like Sprint sponsored, so that's who carries our hotspots. But I know Spectrum offers something, and I could look that up and send the information to you if anybody wants to assist their students with it.
Charter offered for 2 months of free internet, but the problem that we've run into, because I'm getting all these phone calls and upset emails, is that Charter doesn't service all the addresses. So the equity here is still not at all there, and that's the process I think that we're gonna see in another 3 months when we're all back in school, or we're not in school and we start back in August, whatever NCDPI decides to do, because no one's been able to attack this from equal footing.
Okay, let me just stop. It is 6:45, so really, and we will talk about PCEL 7 next week, because I'd much rather prefer you have conversations with each other. And so I'm going to stop recording. The class is over, but if you want to stick around and talk to each other about your experiences with Zoom or any of those, I will keep the meeting going. I will stop sharing, and I'll stop recording, but I will be here as long